Howdy friends, and welcome to the channel update for the Cool Gaming Bros for the month of April. I'm catching the tail end of the month here, so I should get on these videos. Now, if you're familiar with these videos, you should know that this is a monthly update I do to let you guys know what's going on in the channel and what you should expect to see here. And I would like to begin by dispelling any misconceptions people might have of this channel by speaking right off the bat about CAG and Dark Souls 2. I think a majority of people subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch these things, and I will state and reiterate that I don't play much CAG anymore, simply because Jeremy is on hiatus of gaming, and I associate that game with my friend, and it's just not as much fun to play by myself. I do hope you enjoy all the CAG stuff I've put up. I hope it is timeless and you enjoy that content, but hopefully you'll find some other cute 2D game I play here. There are many, none quite as adorable as CAG with its faces, but there'll still be 2D content here, even though it's not that game. As for Dark Souls, another large pie chunk of people come to watch that, thanks to the ever-growing popularity of my Dark Souls playthrough. I think over time it's gathered more views than it ever had as I was doing it, but that's pretty cool. And so people expect me to play Dark Souls 2, and I've made a really good foray into that game. But the honest truth is, I'm not digging Dark Souls 2 enough to really revisit it with any good, conviction. My big enjoyment with the Souls series has always been the adventure. The difficulty in them has been a byproduct of that. I think even Miyazaki himself, when he's been interviewed and asked to comment on the difficulty of the Souls games, has always stated that the games are not about the difficulty. And I kind of agree with that, but I think Dark Souls 2 has made the game about the difficulty and kind of thrown everything else on the wayside. I just don't feel like the world is that fun to explore. I think that it feels kind of like a challenge mode of Dark Souls, where the guiding philosophy is to just throw a lot of enemies at you. This game has the most bosses I've seen so far that are just multiple bosses. which is a weird way of upping difficulty. That just means you have to be mindful of a lot of things that can happen in a fight. And a lot of things can go wrong because you lose track of a single point of action. So, I don't know. It's turned me off to the game. I think it's by no means a bad game, but it isn't quite a great game. So, I'm not too eager to go back into it. I mean, I'll finish it at some point, but hard for me to play a game I don't genuinely love. So, that's my thoughts on Dark Souls 2. And why I haven't revisited or finished the series, as some might have expected. All I can say is I'll finish it eventually. Eventually. Much like 343 Industries, it will happen soon. I also want to mention that I think Dark Souls 2 is a great example of showing that there's a human element to video games. Since it's the hands of man that make a game, as those hands change in a company, the makeup of the game changes. And just because a game franchise retains the same name doesn't mean it retains the same elements that made it great. Again, Halo being the epitome of this example. But nonetheless, that's my thoughts on Dark Souls 2. Now, as you know, this channel has been going a reconstructive period for the last month. And I feel like we pretty much got a new nose and a new set of ears and Botox lips right now because we're fully underway here. As I mentioned before, I've taken to Twitch streaming. And I've been doing that for a month now. Pretty much every night. Every night I've been scheduled to appear. I've been faithfully doing that. Hopefully dedication will be rewarded. So is my mantra. But as far as that's been going, I think by all objective measures, it's been kind of a failure. I read somewhere when I started out that the beginning of streaming is rough, and that despite that, you could hold on to one glimmer of hope, which is that every time you stream, you should reach out and acquire one new subscriber. If you reach out to a single human being every time, eventually, over time, you should get an audience. Well, even by that measure, I think I've fallen off the mark. Many a stream I've done has failed to garner even that much attention, but in spite of that, it's still okay. I think personally that the streaming has been a grand success. I've been able to reach out to a few and dedicated people, God bless their souls, who come on and chat with me about video games, and it's kind of my goal with that stream. I think overall, when I think about what was my end goal with this stream, it's kind of to be a late night place for people to come hang out and watch games be played and just chat about games, and hopefully to fall asleep to the sounds of me yelling at video games, because my streaming times are rather late, and to that end, I think it's gone rather well. Ultimately, I've ended up playing a lot of games I wouldn't have, and it feels good to do that. I think I'm not the only person who has acquired a gaming library so immense that if it were to be physical and fall over me, it would smother me to death. I think I've bought so many games and have not made the time to play them by telling myself, oh, I'll make time in the future to play that game, but I never make the time. And so the games go unplayed. And through streaming, I'm finally tackling that. It's given me a purpose. A silly purpose, some might say, but a man is nothing without a purpose. A self-appointed one, and this is my purpose, to beat really awesome video games. Timeless ones, old ones, new ones, ones that I never had the console to play on when I was younger, but thanks to emulation, you could play pretty much anything. So, that's my goal with the streaming, and that's why I am going to continue streaming for the next month. We're going to keep at it, and I'm going to keep playing some awesome video games, and of course you're invited to come along and join me on the adventures. As sad as it sounds, I feel a greater fulfillment streaming to the 3 people who are in my chat by the end of my stream than it does to make content on my channel, which has 4,000 subscribers. Let me see here. I think I'm a few hundred off the mark, but anyway, the point still stands. It gives me greater fulfillment to do that because, well, subscriber numbers at the end of the day is just a number. The reality is, if you bother to watch these updates, you're probably my core audience. Everyone else is pretty much here for CAG and Dark Souls. But ultimately, I just like sharing video games of all sorts, and I can't be pigeonholed into 1 or 2 video games because there's too many awesome ones out there. But I kind of thought up an analogy for this, and it's like I am opening a restaurant. If my YouTube channel were anything, it'd be a restaurant. Which is a good analogy because just like restaurants that litter every single street corner as you drive down the street, there are a million different YouTubers and entertainers out there and content creators. And so, my YouTube channel was my restaurant. And I made great, I think, gourmet 5-star meals in which I spent a lot of time cooking and preparing. I edited them and cut them down and added sound effects and music where appropriate. And I thought I made them pretty watchable. But at the end of the day, not a lot of people came to my restaurant to eat. Maybe a few regulars here and there, but it was not enough to sustain the establishment. And there's a lot of factors that go into getting people to go to your restaurant. And I'm not sure what element I was failing at. Whether the meals weren't prepared up to par, or the atmosphere wasn't good, or maybe the cleanliness of my restaurant needed this sprucing up. But the one thing you can never blame it on is the clientele, because people always want to go out to eat. And so it would be foolish and egotistical of you to say it is the people's fault. whatever it was, I'm not sure why my restaurant wasn't very successful, and it didn't feel successful to me, especially since I just cooked the same two things over and over again, and as a chef, it just was not exciting enough. And so instead, I now opened a side gig, and I bought a hot dog stand that I put on the corner of Main and Congress, near a bus stop. And so my Twitch channel is a hot dog stand. And again, not a lot of people eat at my hot dog stand, but the difference is, when I'm out there on the street corner in the sun, serving my hot dogs to the people who do eat it, the people actually stand around as they eat it and munch away and just kind of chat about the day while they wait for their bus. And others I get to just talk to about things as they like splatter their dog with mustard and ketchup, and I don't know, that's more fulfilling. I get less traffic and overall less business, but it feels better to be out there in the sun selling my hot dogs than it was being holed up in the kitchen of a restaurant that wasn't really successful. So that's my butchered analogy for my Twitch streaming versus my YouTubing. So, talking about that hot dog stand, I think it's worth discussing the games that I have played on there, and maybe some games that I'm thinking about playing. I'm kind of loose about my plans for the future and the games I play, but I have a few in mind. But let's begin by talking about all the game series that I have completed. And if you look here, we have my stream splash image. This is the image I begin my streams with. Each GIF you see up here is a memento from a game I've completed on stream. The goal of this splash image is to fill up every single corner and crevice with a GIF so that it's full of visual nonsense. But visual nonsense that means something. Now, I'll discuss individual series in passing, and I'll remind you that all these series will, and some are, available on YouTube in playlists for you to watch. To begin with, the background image is a still, or a GIF I made from Farscape. Really cool show about a man lost in space aboard a living ship full of aliens and puppets. Jim Henson puppets. And to begin with, in the top left, we have the Poison Chihuahua from God Hand. God Hand is an amazing brawler. One of the best feeling games I've played in a while. It's exciting and it's hard, but damn, it feels good to fight in that game. Next to it, we have the Dancing Evil Kitty. I think it's called Devil Cat, or don't. It's just called Evil Cat. I really think that's his name. He's from Earthworm Jim. And the Hell Stage with some awesome music. He's from Hack. Besides him, we have the Slug Ambassador, who pops up every now and then to tell us how bad we're playing at Faster Than Light. Then over on the right side, we have the adorable and slightly perturbed Gaw. Gaw. He is from the game Potful Mail. In the left side of the screen, we also have the GIF of Potful Mail rejoicing at acquiring her riches because she's a bounty hunter and she wants to get paid. So, we have the adorable Gaw and Potful Mail from Potful Mail. Then beside Gaw, we have the Trouble King. Part trout, part apple, 100% awesome. And he's dancing because, you know, dancing's kind of his thing. And he's from Shovel Knight, which was a pretty stellar platformer. In the bottom left, we have the elusive Jack Carver from Far Cry. And that game was pretty amazing for a first-person shooter. I just loved how you could tackle that game. It felt very open world, even though it wasn't. Very good at fooling me that it was. So there's Jack Carver. Besides him, we have the kid from Bastion. I have conflicted feelings about Bastion. I think overall I enjoyed the experience, but it wore on me. I'm not a fan of omniscient narrators, but the game was cute. And next to him we have the deceptively adorable Jinjo from the Banjo-Tooie series. This is the game I'm currently playing through, and don't be duped by his adorable exterior. The Jinjos are a wretched species of creature who are out to eat you and suck your brain. And besides the Jinjo, we have the jumping figure of Conway, the freelance spy from Gunpoint. Gunpoint was a pretty awesome puzzle game, really great indie game, but I feel like it failed to explore all the puzzle elements it taught the player. I think it could have been a much better game had it used its elements a bit more thoughtfully, and if it just kind of gave you more content. But it was fun for one night of gaming. Now, the Pink Knight above the knight is the main character from Faxanadu. Faxanadu is a classic NES RPG platforming game, and one of the games that I think I fondly remember simply for its concept, which is aliens invade the world of elves and dwarves. It's high fantasy mixed with sci-fi. I've not seen too many games or works of fiction explore such an idea, and I thought that was really cool. Now, besides him, we have an eggplant, or many eggplants, all occupying the same space. That is a reference to Spelunky and the eggplant run, which tasks you with acquiring an eggplant, a very fragile fruit, maybe a vegetable, that you must take all the way through the game in an elaborate series of actions to throw it on Yama's face. We've failed to do this, so we've spent time trying, so eventually we'll get the eggplant run. Now, that gentleman eating a maggot is Saren from the game Legend of Grimrock. He was a magical pedophile who was thrown into the Grimrock dungeon to die, but fortunately or unfortunately for us, he managed to escape. And he shall forever eat maggots because we never liked him and forced him to eat the worst food we could possibly find. Above him to the right is the frightening visage of Alma from the Fear series. I think this GIF is from Fear 2, but I played the original Fear on stream, and it was as great as I remembered. I think that's one of the few games I played that I have experience with prior, and it was tense, it was creepy, and we bicycle kicked a whole lot of motherfuckers. Now, the gentleman jumping around in bullet time is none other than Max Payne himself from Max Payne 3, which has some of the best feeling third-person shooting in any video game, marred by incessant cutscenes and a plot that straight out of Jupiter with how nonsensical it is, but enjoyable nonetheless. So, that sums up the games I've played on stream, and they've been marvelous experiences, made better by sharing them with people, and unfortunately, that is just not enough GIFs. That screen needs to be covered, and so we'll be playing more games in the future. I have a list of games, a tentative list of just games off the top of my head that I want to play and enjoy, and in that list you could find all the playlist links for each game. The list is but a fraction of all the games I hope to play, and it also contains the links to the playlists for all these series. Some unfortunately aren't up yet, but that's because it takes time to cut up the VODs. I don't just throw up the VODs and they're entirely on here. I actually try to edit out the segments pertaining to the game. I even go through and remove too much backtracking or repeating. One of the things that make me sad about switching to Twitch is that I don't get to edit as much as I'd like in my normal YouTube content, where I could put in music and do all sorts of effects and things like that. But I do go through my VODs and I try to cut them up and segment them in, it's hard to say bite-sized chunks, but I segment them into more episodic content here for YouTube. And I do go through and lop off chunks that are really redundant. But again, it is live gameplaying and live streaming, so it's a bit longer than the usual YouTube content. Now, some people have commented on my last channel update that they would like to support my videos, but they don't have the time to watch so much content. They feel inundated by it. And, well, it's a silly notion to me, because I don't expect you to watch everything I play. There's not enough time on this earth for you to do that. The reason I make all these playlists for these different games is so that if you have a particular favorite game that you really enjoy, and you care to see how I went through it, and how I experienced that video game, well then, it's on there for you to watch at your leisure. There's no pressure, really. I don't feel insulted if you don't watch. I just give you the option to watch what you desire to. And yeah, I'll be continuing to put up the VODs. That's also partially why I cannot do as much edited content like Dark Souls, because it kind of takes a lot of time to be streaming every day and to be putting up the VODs for all this content. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Well, I guess that sums up everything that's been going on. I am on here if you want to come on late at night and enjoy some video games. I like to believe my focus is mostly on the games. I do not use a face cam aside from the beginning and end of the streams. Maybe it's just some old school Let's Playing philosophy, but I feel the magic of Let's Playing is in the fusion between the player and the gaming, and that happens within the game. I don't think it happens up here in the face. It's not an issue that I mind my face. This is how I look. If you meet me on the street, this is my appearance. But I don't know. That's my way of doing things with gaming. I do debate it sometimes whether the stream would improve from face cam. That's always a point of debate. I stick to my guns in my philosophy of not having it, but if you have some opinions about the matter, well, throw them up. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned, or the change is better. I also believe it's better for YouTube to not have the face cam, but maybe that's an argument for a future channel update. Anyway, if you want to come get a hot dog, I sell the cheapest and most succulent dogs this side of Claremont Avenue. I even got the chili to go along with it, and sauerkraut if you want to put that on your dog, but that's sacrilege to me. We got it there too. And yeah, that about sums up my monthly update. We'll see next month how things go. And yeah, your opinions matter. I know not everyone can attend the stream, even if they'd like to, because my times are weird, but that's why we put up the VODs. Now, as usual, I end this with a recommendation of something that's been tickling my ears. And this month, I have actually grown fond to a free musician whose music I discovered for my stream. As you know, Twitch does not allow you to use copyrighted music, and for good reason. So there are artists out there on the internets who allow you to use their music for free just because they want to be heard. You know? It's a rat race out there, and they just want to be heard. And I think Crinkles makes good music that's worth hearing and listening to. He has a whole series of albums that are called Soundtracks from a Box. I think that's a great name for a series of music, and as the name implies, it's soundtrack type music, background music that is down-tempo and jazzy with some piano and sometimes some drumming, and I think it's excellent music to set things to. I might use this for my own projects on this channel as well as what I play on stream, but it's also just great stuff to listen to. It's relaxing. It's really relaxing, and it's good. So, I'll give a shout out to Crinkles here for his awesome music that is available free. So, go check him out and listen to this awesome guy. And, yeah, take care. Be healthy. Get exercise. Love yourself and your family. And I will see you next time. Farewell.